Commence primary ignition.
Hey there, friends, fans, and collectors. Welcome to another episode of Binary Sunset Review. I am Mike, and today we're taking a look at the Amazon exclusive Speeder Bike, Scout Trooper, and TheChild figure. Now, this is a great memory from the first season of The Mandalorian, and I can't wait to take a look. Let's get going. Before I begin, I want to remind everyone to hit the subscribe button below. It really helps support the channel, and it lets you stay on the forefront of the best Star Wars news and reviews as soon as I make them. Now, on the front of the box, it does look very similar to the other Black Series figures. It is the same height as a normal Black Series box would be. It does have the same kind of side art on the side as well as design with the box. It shares the same burnt umber color scheme that goes with the Mandalorian figures. We have the Hasbro logo on the bottom right. We have the name on the very bottom, some legalese. And moving around, we can see at the top, we have a nice image of the speeder bike itself with the Black Series logo. And we get, with the new Black Series boxing, we get this nice side kind of art bit, and this one is unique. We get three kind of images of both everyone that's in this box. So the speeder bike itself, the Scout Trooper himself, and the child figure. Pretty neat, pretty cute. Moving on to the back, we have some very, very nice boxing in the back here. So we get the speeder bike, the Scout Trooper, the child, which is an accessory, it looks like, so it doesn't look like he comes out of the bag. And we also get the target accessory, so we get that funny little power generator thing that they were both unsuccessfully shooting at. The flavor text is my favorite part to any figure, and for the Scout Trooper that reads, "Scout Troopers were lightly armored compared with other stormtroopers, which allowed them to move more quickly and easily in the range of environments. They were also trained for more independence and adaptability than most Imperial troops. The Empire used Scout Troopers for a range of missions, including reconnaissance and infiltration." All right, let's free them. First impressions of this figure out of the box are how fun it is to remember this moment from The Mandalorian, and how excited I am to see the expansion of vehicles and other playsets in the Black Series line. That's something that's not too big of a deal, but I really, really appreciate it is, I don't know if you've noticed, the background. This is actually from the boxing that he came in. Now, this background is a black and white stylized image of Navarro. It kind of resembles some of the concept art that we've seen in the end of the Mandalorian episodes. And it's a really, really neat addition to a Black Series figure like this because it poses a potential diorama option. Hats off for this. I hope that we see this more. It's the smallest detail, but what an amazing addition and change to a figure and a diorama. The painting on this figure is on par with a lot of the other great Black Series figures that we've seen this year. Now, his paint scheme is unique to other Scout Troopers that we've seen throughout the Star Wars universe, and that mainly being because he's a part of the Remnant forces. Now, this figure takes place and comes from the timeline of The Mandalorian, which is 6 years past Return of the Jedi, and 6 years past the shattering of the Empire. That being so, some of the pristine white, clean uniforms that we're used to seeing these stormtroopers and scout troopers in has dulled a little bit. And this is particularly nice and particularly makes sense for these scout troopers who are zipping at, I don't know how many miles per hour through these dusty winds and dusty terrains. The painting is just particularly cool. It reminds me of the Remnant Stormtrooper. I'm going to put them next to each other in a few moments, but just the chip design, the yellow tinge, it's a great weathering that we don't see with other figures. And not only does the paint scheme back up his story, it also adds to his character and adds to the timeline that we're in. The speeder bike itself has a unique paint scheme also. This design of speeder bike is the same that we saw throughout the original trilogy and the same that we see our heroes, zipping through Endor on. But the painting for this design, instead of having a forest brown, is now an off-white. Now, this kind of resembles what we would think the Imperial forces would have normally out there in the field, and it also really shows more of the weathering with this model. Because with the white paint scheme, you really can see the dust and the grime that is kicked up onto this bike and the age that it has. And this really adds depth to it and is really well done in this paint scheme. Now, the little rucksack that we always see in the back of these speeder bikes, we finally see what it's for. It's for picking up small little baby Yodas when you're zipping by them. And it's nice to see it used and implemented in this figure. This figure has some pretty impressive articulation, especially for being a figure that comes with a vehicle. But the Black Series really does offer many, many, many more articulation points and much more depth for being able to have them fit on a bike and still stand in very unique poses. Now, moving from the toes up, we can kind of see from his stance that it is a little bit splayed because his knee right here is turned as well as this one, but his right knee is definitely a little bit more turned out so that he can really straddle the bike better. This can be fixed, though, by his fully rotating thighs and a lot of other things that you can do. But moving on from the bottom, he has ankle joints. He can point his toes like a ballerina pretty well, very, very well. His legs also rotate out and around, as well as bend at the kneecap, so he really does have some very, very, very unique articulation, mainly being to bend around from his knee that fits on the bike. But he also has a rotating joint on his thigh, as well as, seat bones, so he can sit down normally. Now, even though he has a lot of armor on, he does have some Shakira hips, so he does have some motion where he can really get his hips moving around and really posing them up and down, changing his torso position. But moving on up to his arms, he can tee very, very well. He does have the modern advancements to the Black Series figures, which include the more rubber, more mendable pauldrons that naturally kind of fold over the shoulder armor right there. So whereas that armor bit used to restrict a lot of motion, it now is more rubberized and malleable so that they can really move their arms quite effectively. Now we get a better close-up on some of the paint here and really can see how it really is amazing and chipped and looks so much better when it's weathered like that. Now on his arms, he does have a rotating, arm joint that goes 360 around. He also has an elbow joint. He has two elbow joints. He has the butterfly joint in his elbow that goes around the armor points. That's nice. That really does allow him to get some extra depth into how he can grip and how he can angle himself on the bars of the speeder bike. Moving on, he has a turning hand as well as a wrist joint. So this is great that all Star Wars figures now across the Black Series and Vintage Collection lines have wrist joints and ankle joints. It's something that, as you see the evolution of figures, it's great to finally see. Now, his head joint is one of my favorite updates to 2020 Black Series figures, but they not only have a full range of motion going up and down, but they have this kind of ability to move forward, kind of like the hips, that allows them to have deeper inflection points on these kind of figures where you can't see their face. Very nice addition. Great articulation for this figure. And moving on to the bike. The bike is really, really fun. It's great because, of course, they come apart, and you can use this as a vehicle for any of your other figures, including the upcoming Endor pack. So it might be nice to see two of them on speeder bikes, because this model of speeder bike, I believe, is going to be the same exact model that we are seeing in the Heroes of Endor pack, just painted in the brown like we're used to. Now, there is an incredible bit of detail on the depth of this speeder bike in terms of the painting and going all the way around with it. It's really impressive to start seeing Black Series vehicles that can fit with all of our figures. But articulation for it, we don't have a lot of motion into these handlebars. It's not necessarily needed. With other 375 versions of the speeder bike, we did see them be more malleable, but this seems to be a more sturdy base so that you can have your figures hold on to it pretty securely. The foot pedals and the go pedals, they do move around with your figure. They can also come off so that you can kind of position the legs with it and then work with the vehicle as well. There are foot pegs, as you can see, so you also can secure your figures down. Now, I'd have to see about other figures, but other figures, as I remember, they have foot pegs on the back. So this Scout Trooper not only has back foot pegs, but also front foot pegs. So he's specifically designed to go with this vehicle and fit right in here. Other than that, we don't have much movement on the bike, not that we're supposed to really, but we do have some detail in the flaps that can go up and down, so you can position them differently. So you can see a close-up on the flaps as you can put them up or down, and we get some better detail into the engine and underneath. Really amazing bike. Nice articulation. Cool addition to the Black Series line. We have the accessories that come with our figure. And he first comes with a little baby Yoda as advertised, and he is very adorable in his little package. And unlike the Black Series figure, and unlike the Din Djarin figure that we see and with the child, he's kind of stuck in this little bag. Now, I think it's kind of cute, I think it's kind of nice, but instead of a figure in itself, it kind of makes him more of an accessory. Now, that's not the worst thing in the world, because this bag does not only fit around this Scout Trooper's arm, obviously, but he also fits on any other Black Series figure that you have, especially the ones in The Mandalorian. So I'm thinking particularly IG-11, it's nice, but that image of him on his chest on this particular speeder bike just comes straight to mind. We also get the tiny little power generator that they were firing unsuccessfully at in the start of the episode, as well as his awesome tiny little scout pistol. Now, unfortunately, I have already misplaced it because it is like a millimeter long, but you know, I'll trust in the Force and I'll hope that it comes back to me. And it is an incredibly cool little accessory piece that we know comes with all these Scout Troopers. Pros for this figure have to start with the speeder bike being added to the list of Black Series vehicles that we've seen now. Now, this is really cool, and I hope they expand upon vehicles for our 6-inch figures. Now, another great pro in my eyes is the expansion of the remnant forces. Now, we know that the Imperials didn't just go away when the Emperor died, and it's great to see some of the true fanatics that stayed along and how they've aged. So this kind of weathered armor, which matches our remnant stormtrooper here, just really adds to some of the depth of the Empire and, you know, how long it took for them to get the heck out of the universe. This was such a great moment in The Mandalorian also, and I'm so glad that we're adding depth to these figures and celebrate what a great show we have and hopefully are continue to get. Another huge pro for me has to be availability. So I'm so happy that this figure, you know, didn't sell out too fast, stayed up for a while, and I believe it's still available to get on Amazon, so I'll try to leave links below for that, but pretty reasonable figure. I wish the price was a little bit lower. This did start at $50, so, you know, it does come with a lot, but I wish it came with more for that price. I honestly just wish the price was lower. This is important to note. Also, this is the third time we're seeing Grogu, or the Child figure, in a Black Series design. Now, he was first seen last year in this tiny little adorable square Black Series box, and we've seen him since then as an accessory figure to this set, and in the Din Djarin and the Child set that was a Target exclusive. Now, it looks like I'm gonna be doing a deeper dive into these three figures and which one has the best Child figure in general, so stay tuned for that. But neat to see that we've seen him a couple different times printed in the Black Series. We're all waiting for our Vintage Collection ones, but cool to see his cute little green face in the Black Series many times. I certainly would recommend this figure to any collectors out there, especially fans of The Mandalorian show. It really did capture one of my favorite moments in the show, and one of the last moments that we saw IG-11, who was a great character. Now, this figure, as far as I know, is still up for order on Amazon.com. It is an Amazon exclusive, so don't expect to be seeing it on shelves. And if you missed out on the Heroes of Endor pack and are not able to get your 6-inch Black Series speeder bike in brown, this might be one of your last opportunities to get one of these Black Series vehicles. Also, to remember that Scout Trooper figures are very high on the resale list, and this is a unique figure that has a very good weathering and design based on the Remnant Imperial forces. That's a wrap on another episode of Binary Sunset Review. Thanks for tuning in. Your views and likes are greatly appreciated. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this figure and what you think might be coming and down the line for future Black Series figures for The Mandalorian. If you haven't already done it, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and stay tuned on the best Star Wars news and reviews as soon as I make them. Have a great day out there, stay safe, stay sane, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.